There is a clear consensus that what Reddit is doing is predatory, and you don't even acknowledge it. Predatory? Starbucks says it fired her for an absence of leadership. She says she was fired for her race. A jury returned a $25.6 million verdict in her favor. Uh-oh. All the conservatives are seething. All the liberals are like, yeah. But wait, reverse. A jury on Monday found in favor of former Starbucks regional director Shannon Phillips, who sued the company for wrongfully firing her, claiming she was terminated for being white.
From their TikTok accounts.
I don't even know what this claim is about. Basically. Do you support the Reddit protest stuff? I mean, like, there's a world where I would, but I don't think anybody even knows, like, what the f anybody's protesting. I don't think anybody knows, like, what the arguments are on either side. People just think that basically it's just another, like, large corporation evil shutting down poor, innocent, third-party people that just want to make everybody's life better. Ignoring the fact that the evil corporation has to pay a lot of money for these kind and generous third-party people to make a lot of money. It's just, I don't know, it's dumb. There's a world where, like, there's a protest where I'd have to go through the fees honestly myself. They sounded unreasonable in terms of, like, the fees being too high. But I don't know if charging API fees is necessarily, like, the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have, like, strong feelings on it, basically. Do you know Imager charges like $200 for the equivalent amount of API calls that Reddit charges $20,000 for? I would have to look into, like, how that number is arrived at. Like, I don't know what that means. I would just have to see more, because, like, if somebody would just tell me that, like, off the, like, I just don't know what that means. Because, like, I could imagine that, like, for Reddit, like, the going through the database might be more expensive. Maybe the types of API calls are different. I'm not sure. I don't have the tech background to know, and I would never trust a number like that just thrown at me. It's possible, though. That's true. It's possible that Reddit is dramatically overcharging. Like I said, I don't know too much on, like, what standard pricing is for any of this stuff, and I would rely on somebody more informed to say it. But yeah. And thanks for to compare.
Purple Badge Nation Sua chat for life.
Nice. Most people using API for third-party apps have been leeching off of Reddit and ad blocking them. Like, this is kind of the thing that gets me. Like, if let's say somebody made a third-party thing from my website. I think people actually did this at one point in time. I think we shut them down, didn't we? Let's say people made a third-party thing for DGG, and they made it so that you could get all of the sub-features or whatever, like green text, the coveted green text feature. And you could, like, color names the way you wanted to and all that shit. And then let's say that as part of that app, you also, like, you just remove the subscriber button as well, just because. And then let's say even that you charge for access to that app, right? And then let's say that I gave you access to my database, and then I had to pay for you to access my database over and over again via API. It's like, why the f would I do that? I wouldn't do that. At some point, I'd just be like, f this, I'm shutting down my shit. Like, I'm not gonna. Why would I let you scrape my shit for free when you're costing me money, both literally in that you're, like, removing the sub button or removing ads. I don't show ads on my site, or opportunity in that you're now people are. Or well, literally, that I'm paying the cost for you to access my database over and over again, literally, and then opportunistically by, like, removing sub button or ads or whatever. Like, yeah, I just think it's. Is it even standard for a social media company to, 1, have a publicly accessed API, and 2, offer it for free? Okay. Remember, okay. Remember, I don't know anything about anything, okay? I don't know anything about anything, so always be aware that I'm making shit up. My understanding is that API access has generally been something that has been provided for free for the public, but APIs are very much like a few companies have very well documented API procedures or API, I guess, documentation. Other companies have APIs, but it's like dog shit. And trying to figure out how to use them, trying to figure out how to sort through them, sometimes things change, they're fucking horrible. But free, right? Some APIs will rate limit you. Like, you can pull some information, but not like millions of calls a month or whatever. You're probably not gonna let people do that. But I think if I had to guess, the thing that's probably changed recently my guess is going to be the thing that's changed recently is the internet is growing really large, and third-party apps are becoming really popular, and that's and profitable, and that's probably something that's a little bit new on the internet that wasn't there like 5 to 10 years ago. So like it probably feels a little bit different when you're like, hey, listen, here's our, documentation on APIs. If you want to pull information to make an app, go for it. But now it's like, oh, thanks for letting us pull this information. We're going to be making 7-8 figure calls, like millions, tens of millions of calls to your API every month. We're going to ad block your website, and we're charging people to buy our app, and we're posting like buttons all over the app for them to give us more money. I think when that type of thing starts to change, when that environment happens, then I think the first party companies are like, okay, hold up. Like, you're charging money for your app. It's starting to actually cost us a decent amount of money. Somebody in chat pointed out that a lot of the AI scraping, or a lot of the AI companies that are accessing the API shit are driving up costs too. I can understand first parties or companies being like, listen, does this even happen though? Yes, my understanding, I didn't know this before I saw the Apollo post. I didn't know that. Here are two things I didn't know about Apollo. I thought Apollo was essentially just like a reskin of Reddit. That's what I assumed it was. That Apollo basically sucks some information from Reddit and then kind of like reskins it for you in an app. But what I didn't figure, I didn't even consider this, and it makes sense, is one, apparently it auto blocks ads from Reddit. So you don't actually see any of the ads that show up on Reddit, none of the promoted posts, one. And two,
did you see H3 finish talking to Pearl today at 2:30 p.m.?
No. And two, apparently you can buy Apollo the app, and they put ads in the app to buy Apollo. So that's really crazy that it is taking money from Reddit and then it's auto ad blocking. And then two, they sell the app when Reddit is free. No, that is wrong. I don't know what you think. I don't know why you think that what you just typed here contradicts what I said, but they don't block ads. Reddit does not present ads. They're blocked from their own ads. That's what I mean. I'm sorry. What I mean is that my understanding, Cake, is that like promoted posts don't show up, which I think are one form of advertising on Reddit. I don't believe those show up in the Apollo app, right? It might not be an ad block per se, but it's
I just would scrape.
It's effectively an ad block, right? That if you download the Apollo program and then you browse it that way, you've effectively got an ad block. Good luck scraping without using an API millions and millions of calls every couple months, my dude. Good luck. Okay. Either I'm retarded or 90% of the posts on Programmer Humor or whatever are retarded. My understanding is there's no way you're not just going to be scraping millions and millions and millions of things every single month from a fucking website. Like, maybe sites built on like GeoCities in like 96 you can do that, but my understanding is there's tons of preventative measures that sites can take to prevent people from just scraping fuck tons of data off of websites these days. Unless maybe there's some really new sophisticated way to bypass it or something, but I don't know. There's a reason why people prefer API access versus like trying to fucking scrape websites.
Love you, bud.
Shouldn't you be against adblock too then? Oh, actually we have a new Destiny viewer in YouTube chat. Scraping works pretty well, right? My understanding is you're going to get rate limited like a motherfucker. You can try to bypass rate limits on scrapes, but it's just, for small scale projects, it's probably possible, but for a large scale project, that's just going to be the most obnoxious fucking shit in the world. Keep in mind, my understanding, remember, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, okay, just keep in mind. When you're scraping websites, literally any update could completely and totally fucking destroy whatever app you've got working too. Like a small update, a large update, they could intentionally fuck with you.
Like, green text is not a sub feature. Get your devs to put it behind a paywall. Yes, I'm snitching. Fuck you, white names.
Nice. It used to be. I guess we made it on. But yeah, scraping is just not for small projects. You can scrape information if you want, but for a large scale app that's used by over 1,000 people or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, probably not. API costs are cheap as fuck, and Reddit does benefit through more users to their website. Like, is it a coincidence this happens right after Twitter blows up their API? My opinion is this is always cope. The idea that like, oh no, like it's okay that like it costs you money and all that, you're getting more users. I don't believe that. My guess is by the time all of this shit goes through, my guess would be less than 2% of all those third-party app users stop using Reddit entirely. I don't believe that. I've used the Reddit official app like my whole life. I don't know where all these crazy problems that people complain about. Oh, it crashes all the time. It never.
Less than 3.
I've never had problems. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Depending on the language, the data changes. Type, it can completely break shit. Something as simple as adding
Smiley
decimals to
face.
sure. Is it Reddit's intention to kill third-party apps by pricing their API calls that high? They don't seem interested in a fair price. I don't know if it's a fair price or not. That's hard for me to say. And the thing is that like I've read things, but I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. Like for instance, like some people were saying that I get to keep them. This is like I'm giving you hearsay shit. I don't understand. Some people were saying, for instance, that the reason why Apollo makes so many API calls is because Reddit's API was free and because you could just access and make infinite calls at essentially no cost, that Apollo was lazy in kind of the architecture of the program, and that you could, for instance, utilize a lot more caching, right? That you could pull information one time and then have your users pulling from that database rather than having to make an independent call every single time. And some people were saying Apollo didn't even try to do any type of like caching or shit like that because it was just easier for them to make the call over and over again in Reddit's database. But like for stuff like that, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's I don't know if that would have saved a lot on calls. I saw some people comparing Apollo saying that it like did like 4 or 5 times as many calls as it needed to, but I don't know any of that. I don't know if any of that's true or not. That's just shit that I've seen people type. Paul is running up a fuck ton of API calls for notifications because Reddit does not offer an official way to stream / publish plus subscribe them. It's very complicated. Gotcha. Dev here, they're charging a very high price compared to most APIs, but I can't imagine Apollo built their way to this point without having proper caching. I don't know. They were not lazy. Reddit ignored the Apollo guy trying to get help optimizing. I would have to read like third-party stuff. After listening to the conversation from that Apollo guy, I don't think I would trust him on anything. He just that conversation, he just came across as so unimaginably fucking autistic. Dude, I would need, not to say that he's lying. He could be correct, but percent above established rate limits for the largest apps past 30 days. App name's been purposely withheld. He was making a lighthearted joke stop.
Jeff and me opened up our relationship 8 months ago. We are together for over 6 years. Due to issues we both know, it's better to close it again. I broke up with somebody I'm dating, but she has a really hard time dealing with our closing. What to do?
Bro, I don't know. It sounds like a nightmare. Good luck. We listened to that phone call. Firstly, I'm not even fully concerned that it was a joke, number one. But number two, even if I grant you that it was a joke and he was joking the whole time, the guy is so unimaginably fucking autistic that he should never be doing any public-facing, client-facing, customer-facing, any type of conversation with another human being outside of like his development team. It was one of the most autistic conversations I've ever heard in my entire life. So I don't know. It could have been the fact that he was just joking, but like, oh my god, he was so stupid. Wasn't it the Reddit guy making the autistic joke? Was it the Apollo guy? No, it was the Apollo guy. What about the accessibility point? People claim the official app is bad for blind users. I have no idea. But I've also heard Reddit say that they're not changing the accessibility option, or they're not going to charge API fees to people that for like accessibility apps or something. Sorry, I don't know what's true now. Again, I'm just reporting whatever. There is a clear consensus that what Reddit is doing is predatory, and you don't even acknowledge it. Predatory? I don't know if you can have predatory pricing on APIs. In my opinion, predatory implies some type of need or exploitation. You don't need third-party apps. Like, it's not like people need... I don't know. I don't think I like the word predatory here. You can say the pricing is too high. It might be. I don't know what like...
My 1-year anniversary of being a superior green name. YouTube chat for life.
Use KEKW and DG chat, you could already tell he was retarded. He does scraping so that he can deliver notifications faster, but has done no effort to be a good citizen of the internet. Secondly, to say that we've made no effort is categorically false. I have so many emails where I reached out to Reddit expressing concerns about bugs and inefficiencies on the API. I would believe that. That seems like normal.
Like imagine if Russia and Ukraine were just like doing it in Fortnite. It would be a lot less painful, I think, for everyone.
True.
To Destiny, shout out to Destiny. If Destiny was broke...
Oh.
People that have been...
As bad as Apollo handled it, I feel like Reddit could have handled it so much better by communicating API usage guidelines, telling devs not to hide promoted posts, and making slower API change rollouts. It's possible, like there's probably a world where Reddit could have done it better, but from Reddit's point of view, they're a company. I think they're trying to go public. They want to get profitable. And now they've got what they view as probably like the users that they care least about, engaging in behavior that they don't care about, that is detrimental to them. So at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, you know what? We're just going to drop the hammer, you know, and see what happens. I mean, from a PR perspective, it's probably not good, but I mean, it's Reddit. It's not like Dig. People aren't going to be leaving Reddit to go to... People were trying to post some random ass third weird websites that nobody gives a about. Like, nobody's staying on these sites for a long time.
If this guy is so innocent, how can they get you to go to the dungeon for 92 days? How can they put you on house arrest? How can they do all this stuff? Yeah. If you're somebody that was born in US, you lived in UK, how come somebody else isn't coming to bail you out? You got different lawyers. How is it that they can keep doing this to you if you're not guilty? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, and once again, I have to be careful what I say because of the court case, but Romania has a law, or the law in Romania is basically, if you can prove to a judge that it might have happened, they're allowed to hold you up to 6 months during the investigation stage. If I was guilty of anything, I would have been charged long ago. And we're going to talk about charges soon because I wish
I should have just spent more time talking to lawyers beforehand. Nothing about the... So my initial take was, that's a little bit wild in Romania that you could be held for 6 months without charges. So initially it was, that's a little wild. Then I kind of changed my position to like, okay, I guess it's wild, but there is 2 weeks of that can happen in the United States, I guess. And you did go to Romania, so you signed up for it. But now... I realize now, having a better understanding of the legal system in the United States, there's not really anything out of the norm at all here. Like, pretrial detention in the United States can extend for years. And during that pretrial phase, people can completely drop charges if they want to. This is not out of the norm, probably for any legal system at all in the world, or at least in the West. I wish I would have had a greater familiarity with the legal system, at least in the United States, before having the debate with that one guy, because the idea that this is like like there are people that are being held on pretrial detention for years sometimes. Before they've actually had their day in court. And again, charges can be added, dropped, or whatever beforehand. I wish I would have had more. This is just not, it's not like that out of the norm. That's just insane. But it's my fault for not being more familiar. Except 99% of Americans will make bail if they're held in pretrial detention for more than a few weeks. Destiny. I mean, if you're allowed bail, that depends on what you're charged with, and that depends on if the judge allows it, right? Wasn't Martin Shkreli's ability to bail, wasn't that revoked when he started making those Facebook posts about Hillary Clinton, for instance?
I still believe they're going to attempt to charge me. But we're now approaching the end of the 6 months they can keep me under a form of arrest for without charge. Typically in Romania, when I was first arrested, the guard said, within 2 weeks, you'll have your indictment. I was like, 2 weeks? He goes, yeah, everyone gets charged quickly. Nobody waits 6 months for a charge. If they arrest you, they charge you, like every other country, right? The fact they've waited 6 months and gone into my entire life and attempted to find something shows they don't have a case. Why I believe it happened is because they didn't have a case when they were trying to hit me with this garbage, and they thought, you know what? If we put him all over the news, if we slander his name completely, there was a hotline set up. If you're a girl who's been hurt by Andrew Tate, call this number in the UK.
Isn't cash bail completely retarded? I can't think of any reasonable justification for it. I can't either, I think. I think the idea is basically just like, listen, if you want to leave jail before your trial, that's fine, but we need to hold collateral for you to do it. So that if you don't show up to jail, you lose a ton of money. But I don't know. It's kind of, I'm not sure.
So they were attempting to use the media to find what they wanted. Months go by, months go by, months go by, case file's empty, nothing's happening. My lawyer's saying, when are we gonna close this case file? Like, yeah, we're just waiting for some papers, we're gonna close it, we're gonna close it, we're gonna close it.
Destiny, just because something is the norm doesn't make it right, LOL. That policy sounds insane. Whether or not it is insane, firstly, I don't even think you've thought about it, number one, but fine. Whether or not it is or isn't insane isn't the issue. The idea is that everybody keeps saying that it's insanely corrupt and that it's unique to Romania. That's the argument that these rail pillars have made. Like, oh my God, this would never happen in a civilized country, in another country, that no one would ever do this. But that's not true. There can be huge, like, pretrial detentions in other countries depending on what's going on. So that's just a lie, right? Now, whether or not it's okay or not okay, you can have that conversation, but don't pretend like it's unique to Romania.
Around the time I was canceled, things started appearing in the case file again. They started spying on me again. Very interesting that it happened around that time. I don't know if they understood that I wasn't protected by the police.
Stalk me and answer the question. Doesn't pre-trial mean post-charge? They can add and remove after, sure. Yeah, sure, but your pre-trial charge can be changed, right? So for instance, it could be the case that police officers arrest you at a traffic stop and they're like, oh, okay, hold on. For whatever reason, we think this guy's no good. They arrest you for some whatever random bullshit at a traffic stop. You sped, you've got some dice in your mirror. They arrest you. And then while you're being held for detention and they're doing an investigation, they're like, oh, hold on, we're actually gonna charge you with this and this as well. Like that, like all of this stuff, like is possible in a Western United States criminal justice system. Like all of this is possible, all of this happens. Pretrial stuff can last for a long time depending on what you're looking at. Like the idea that this is like unique to Romania is stupid.
No bully, but WTF is his hair.
They started to build this case, and they spied on me for all of these months, spending millions of euros, spying on me everywhere I went, trying to find evidence of a crime. Eventually, they get to the end of their legal limit to spy on me, and they don't have any crime.
Why, you keep, are you just gonna repeat the same thing? Hold on, okay. US pretrial stuff is still post-charge, sure. But what I'm saying is that if this was the United States, if they wanted to for Tate, they could have just arrested him for rape and then held him there and continued to do an investigation and then added or removed charges if they were doing that. Yes, pre-trial is post-charge. You can keep typing it all you want, but it doesn't change the reality that in the United States, this exact same situation with Andrew Tate could have played out.
So in my current court case, we have two Americans who lied, the ones who we have the conversations between them saying they're going to get an Oscar for lying to the police. We have the CCTV of them coming and going. We have their Uber records showing they can travel the country freely. We have their phone calls with their mother where they're saying, yeah, he didn't hurt me, and my boyfriend caught me. We have all of it. We have all the evidence. We have those two.
Why don't you extend the right to have API or to charge them the same right to, I don't know what this sentence means. Can you type this? Why don't you extend the right to have API or not? Why don't you extend the right to have API or not, or to charge for them / the same right to fix? Is he asking me why I don't treat right to repair the same as right to API? I think there's a difference. An API is something that a company has to like actively maintain, and then it costs them active money for them to allow people to access it. Right to repair is usually the opposite way. It seems like usually companies go out of their way to make it so that people can't repair their own shit. So I mean, he's shit-talking your interest in right to repair, saying that's less legitimate than the right to not be held.
All right, so basically I'm on the same side as the Reddit people. They basically have the right to do this. They have the right to charge whatever amount they want. I believe you are on the same side of that, correct?
I mean, they have the right to. It doesn't necessarily make it good or bad, I guess. But yeah, sure. Again, I guess they do. Yeah, sure.
Even if it prices out the competitor, that
Sure.
is the prerogative.
Yeah.
But when we spoke about the right to fix, you mentioned that they also have to maintain that door open for other people to plug in and be able to interact with them.
Yeah, so that was my initial take, that it seems like like you don't.
The Americans should learn the difference between being charged and being indicted. In Romania, you cannot
I'm sorry,
pre-trial
hold
arrest
on.
without
Give me
charges.
a second. I have to turn these fucking donations off. Okay, sorry.
Have you ever considered moving outside of the U.S.?
Okay. So in the United States, I'm sorry, not in the United States. So my understanding initially was that in order to make it so that people could like plug into your hardware or whatever, that you're essentially asking people to maintain some other type of port or some other type of interface in order to do so. And I'm like, well, I don't know if we necessarily can make that demand on companies, that it has to be, especially like a thing enshrined in law. Keep in mind the right to repair stuff is a legal thing too, not like not just like what would be polite in the industry, right? However, something that quite a few people contacted me with afterwards was, it seems like when it comes to a lot of the right to repair stuff, it's not like people are asking people to create like a special port. Like the example I used last time was the OBD2 port in cars. It's not like people are asking people to create a special port in order to make it so that people can repair their own stuff. It's more that it seems to be the case that companies like John Deere explicitly and maliciously go out of their way to make it so that people can't interface with their stuff. So for instance, it might be the case that there's a certain part that you can plug into a type of machinery and you can make another part and it'll work, but for absolutely no reason whatsoever, John Deere's hardware will try to interface and verify like a serial number. And it's not helpful. It's not doing anything good. It's not like making sure the part works. All it's doing is making sure you're using an official part. In that case, it seems like it's not like they're doing what they can to protect their stuff and they just don't want to invest extra, blah, blah, blah. It seems like they're actually investing extra just to fuck over the consumer, or rather just to make sure that you're locked into using only their parts.
Correct. That nickel and diming the consumer and forcing the consumer to use only their products.
Yeah.
The same can be said about the API once they basically price out the competitors, or they make it to be very expensive.
I think there's a huge difference between talking about an API versus talking about somebody else's hardware that they own. Like API requires some level of active maintenance from the people that are providing it. Like I've got to pay server costs, I've got to pay hardware costs to allow you access to my database. I probably have to provide some level of documentation and maintenance. You don't have to, I guess. But like it requires work on the side of the people that are actively providing the API. It doesn't require any work from John Deere to just let you swap out a piece of hardware on your tractor.
I would say that it's slightly different in the sense that once you use the tractor, the equipment is yours. However, you only have a license to use the software that runs that tractor. So it's slightly different, like you don't fully own all the pieces of the tractor.
Okay. I mean, if you want to say that, that's fine, but it doesn't change my argument that fundamentally there's a difference between API access versus letting somebody swap out parts on their tractor. That doesn't cost me any money whatsoever. If I manufacture a product and I sell it to you, it doesn't cost me anything to let you swap parts out. It's not like I'm actively maintaining a part database for you or something.
I guess we disagree on that point, okay? No.
Okay. I love you.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Obama.
Oh no.
MashaAllah.
Starbucks says it fired her for an absence of leadership. She says she was fired for her race. A jury returned a $25.6 million verdict in her favor. Uh-oh. All the conservatives are seething. All the liberals are like, fuck yeah. But wait, reverse. A jury on Monday found in favor of former Starbucks regional director Shannon Phillips, who sued the company for wrongfully firing her, claiming she was terminated for being white. Oh no, what's happening? We're like in the clown world. Phillips, who worked for Starbucks for about 13 years, and managed a region of stores in the area, was fired after the arrest of 2 black men at a Philadelphia Starbucks in April 2018. The New Jersey jury returned a verdict of $26 million, including $25 million for punitive damages and $600,000 compensatory damages. Sorry, Jesus. According to Consul Mattiacci Law, who represents Phillips, the jury ruled unanimously after a 6-day trial, the lawyer said, noting that Phillips will also be seeking backhand front pay. Is this the end game of woke politics? Holy shit. Starbucks said it is disappointed in the decision, is evaluating its next steps. In 2018, 2 men were asked to leave the coffee shop after sitting at a table without ordering anything. The men, who declined to leave because they were waiting for a business associate, were escorted out of the coffee shop in handcuffs after a store manager called police on them. They later reached settlement agreements with Starbucks and the city of Philadelphia. Do you guys remember this? This was a big story like 5 years ago. In a lawsuit first filed in 2019, Phillips said the company discriminated against her because of her race when she was let go. I ain't order no coffee. Fuck, who made a song? Somebody referenced this in a, was it Tupac? What is the song I'm thinking of? Or no, not fucking Tupac. Oh God, what am I thinking of? Yeah, Tupac, the Prophet. Oh my God, who am I thinking of? He's like a legendary fucking rapper, old school rapper, makes new songs. He references like an 8-minute song that he does with Kanye West doing backing vocals. Who the fuck am I thinking of? Oh, Nas. Nas does it in this song. I think he references that. Thank you. Jesus. Fuck me. Okay. Phillips was at the time, blah, blah, blah. Starbucks, which denied the consent in a 2021 court filing to the incident, senior leaders and members of Partner Research, all observed Ms. Phillips demonstrate a complete absence of leadership during this crisis. No, not that Andrew Tate. This Andrew Tate.
10% of the comments are in defense of us, criticism of the mainstream media, letting the reporters know, because they haven't done their research, that if I never commit any crimes, I won't go to jail. This is what I thought until maybe 1 year ago, when the Matrix started attacking us in this way. And it's very sad, because going back to the story that 2 years ago we formed an organized criminal gang to steal TikTok money. When I was 17, I didn't have any money. I could have dealt drugs in Luton. When I was 19, I didn't have any money. I could have went debt collecting for gangsters in Luton. I come from a very bad town filled with a lot of bad people, and I could have easily been a bad person. But what did I do? I stayed flat broke and dedicated myself in the kickboxing gym. I stayed flat broke and worked jobs making sandwiches with a stupid little red hat on. Jobs that a lot of people would say are humiliating. I don't think they're humiliating. I'm proud of myself for working those jobs, and I'm proud of...
What are you proud of?
Any man out there making an honest living. I did everything legally my entire life until allegedly at 33 years of age and a net worth of $100 million, I began to brainwash people so I could steal insignificant amounts of money from their TikTok accounts.
I don't even know what this claim is about. Do people accuse him of doing this, or?
Yeah, anyway, so here's one of my tweets from jail, because I'm Mr. Producer. I'm getting it back now. I kind of forgot how to Mr. Produce,
You
but then...
cut my face out, I've got to lean in.
Bro, no one cares about your face, bro. Like, no one cares. So, here. What does it say? It says, escape is possible. I simply close my eyes. It's very interesting what life without electronics will do to you for 93 days. And it was only 93 days. We didn't have a phone. We didn't touch a computer or any of these things. And we're making a joke and making it all lighthearted now. But truthfully, it has a very profound effect on your mind. And I promised when I left jail that I'd retain some of the lessons and retain some of the gratefulness, and also retain my ability to truly imagine again. You can't imagine anymore. Your brain's been attacked and destroyed by TikTok and the internet. You can't imagine, but when you're in a jail cell in the perfect silence, you can imagine completely and utterly in the dark, in the middle of the night when you can't sleep. That's when you can imagine again. And what's actually most upsetting and disappointing to me is that since I've left jail, despite my dedication towards retaining this ability, it's nearly impossible to truly use my imagination once again. Once you have electronics and devices and women are messaging you and all this garbage is happening in your life, you lose your ability to imagine. And it's a shame, because it's a superpower. We talk about manifestation in and of itself, but I think imagining things, you can obtain the results. Now, I'm going to say something like I always say, with basically no scientific evidence, but I know I'm never wrong about anything, so nice. I'm just going to say it.
Nice. Dr. Andrew.
Dr. Andrew, if you imagine something truly and fully, if you truly, completely imagine it, to a degree, your body will react to it. Let me give you an example. If you truly imagined yourself at war, day after day, you imagined yourself under attack, defeating the Matrix agents. You're top G, you're walking through life, the agents are coming, you're doing Aikido, and you're destroying them, and you're the most powerful man in the world. If you truly imagined that and felt it in your mind to the point where you thought you were there and you felt it in your body, I would guarantee you, after X amount of time, you would have a higher testosterone level and your muscles would be stronger than if you didn't. I will guarantee you that. Now, someone's going to come along and say, Andrew just made that up. I don't care if I just made it up, because that's what I do. That's what I did in jail. I imagined and gathered my chi, and I became stronger than I've ever been. If you truly believe it in your mind, then your body will react. What does Morpheus say? The body cannot live without the mind. They're absolutely and utterly linked. So that's one of my first jail tweets. Let me find another one.
I'll touch briefly on that. I was cornered by some journalists on my way to the courthouse the other day. And they said, "Are you happy, Tristan?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Ha, were you happy in jail?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Happy in jail? Why?" I said, "Because only my body was in prison, but my mind wasn't." And what I meant by that, to extrapolate a little for everybody listening here, I look at some people. When I was in prison, I thought of some people. I thought of what the people who were doing this to me looked like. I can imagine them. Fat, out of shape, out of breath all the time, unhappy, small house, ungrateful, unattractive wife, doesn't respect himself, doesn't respect his family, kids who probably hate him. And I thought, that guy, these people, and a few names spring to mind of people who I hate from the past, are far more in jail than I have ever been. These people sitting on their Ryanair flights with 3 masks on are more in jail than I have ever been, with a bloodstream filled with mRNA vaccine. They are more in prison than I have ever been. You can lock my physical body away, sure, but in my mind, I am free.
It's true. These people are absolutely and utterly controlled. Most of our detractors are controlled by what they see on the news, and they don't even have any interest in finding out the truth. It's amazing to me. I'm the most famous, most Googled man on the planet, right? I'm the most Googled man on the planet, and videos of me are being presented out of context. And every single time I do a podcast, I say, that's shown out of context. And you'd think that the people who manage to get emotionally affected by me, who manage to get annoyed by me, so they obviously have an emotional interest. They have a vested interest in who I am as a person. They don't even sit and think, well, I've seen this guy everywhere. He's super famous. I'm mad at him now. I have an emotional interest in this subject. He's saying it's out of context. Let me watch the longer version. No, they just sit there and go, well, I don't even want to know the longer version. BBC told me, Lucy told me. Their minds are in jail. They're in prison in their brains. They can't even think outside of what they see on the fucking TV screen.
I am freer in a prison cell than these people will ever be.
Every night I dream of freedom. And then I open my eyes and I'm in the same familiar jail cell. I take a few minutes to swallow my disappointment and begin my morning push-ups. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up somewhere else. I've not lost hope.
Jesus Christ.
Tomorrow has come. And I do wake up somewhere else, but this is important, especially if you are at home and you're not yet as successful as you want to be, if you don't have your life in exactly the place you want it, if you still feel trapped, whether it's financially or some other way, you wake up and you must be dreaming of freedom, but when your eyes open, after the disappointment, swallow the disappointment, take a minute and look around you and say, I deserve more than this. But then, what's the important point? Begin my morning push-ups. You must begin to work instantly. I did not miss a single day of training in that jail cell. I had no access to a gym. I had no access to any kind of workout equipment. It was just me in a jail cell with you, with bottles of water, 2-liter bottles of water, holding them out as long as I could hold them out for. And then they'd drop to the ground, and I'd wait a few seconds, and I'd do it again. Endless push-ups.
We had the time.
That's all we had, is the time and the will in your mind.
Excuse.
If we could train in a freezing cold jail cell in Romania, the cockroaches all around.
Do you think that as temperature increases, efficiency goes down in electronics, right? My power supply is making noises now, but I haven't connected anything new in it. It's been fine for weeks, but my apartment is getting really hot. I'm wondering if the temperature is rising enough that the efficiency of my products are dropping, that the wattage is increasing, and that's like fucking my shit up. But I don't know if that's true or not. My apartment is really hot right now though, or it feels hot. It is hot. PSUs will be, no, it's my, I want to say UPS. It's not unlimited power supply. The plug. What the fuck am I thinking of? Is it universal? What does UPS stand for? Why do I keep forgetting that? The one that unplugs. Not this. Is it universal? What is UPS? Uninterruptible. Jesus Christ. Uninterruptible power supply. I should just get a bigger one. Because I keep running into these wattage issues. I don't know why I wouldn't. I should just order. I wonder what the largest one they sell is. I can't like, I don't know if I can unhook anything else to like
sell your mind and you can be protected. If you want to tell the truth, they will come for you and they will attempt to hurt you. And that's what's so important about all of this. Anybody who... And that's what we have. We no longer have a society with two different people, two different groups of people thinking in two different ways. You have a group of people who are thinking and a group of people who are repeating. It's very different to repeat information
I closed
and to
all my
think about
blinds
information. And that's actually what's really scary when you understand that your detractors have no interest in the truth. We can sit and show endless evidence that we're completely innocent. They don't care. They're going to repeat what they're told to repeat. They do not think, they repeat.
What kind of UPS do you have? It seems strange it's overheating because you seem to have electricity at the moment. It should work as a bypass only without going through the battery and thus overheating. No. What I'm saying is there's a part in the back that I plug in to protect it, but it can only handle so much wattage. Wattage. Fuck, I'm listening to Andrew Tate too much. Wattage. It can only handle so much wattage going through it. But what I'm wondering is the efficiency of a power supply can be determined sometimes by, I think, how hot the power supply gets. So if you start to heat the power supply up, if your system components become more hotter, what happens is the heat rises, the efficiency decreases. And when the efficiency decreases, it has to draw more power to make the same amount of like energy or whatever, I think is that's my guess. So if your apartment is getting really hot, because I was basically sitting at that like 98% border, as it gets hotter, I'm guessing the power supply has to draw more wattage to make enough power for the PC, I think. I don't know if I'm completely making that up, but I think that's true.
I've already played at the beginning of this, but that was last year around this time. Let's show the world what we were doing this time last year. We were doing this. This was me signing the papers for my second Bugatti, which actually turned out to be my Rimac, because I bought a Rimac.
And you know, gentlemen, this is a life lesson. When I say you have to go out and live, when I say you have to squeeze every drop of juice from the orange that is life, when I say you have to take the bad with the good, you have to go out and find adventure, do things that are meaningful. I was in jail with some people, some real criminals who were really guilty. And they were looking at very, very long sentences, older than me, 40 years old, 45 years old, 35 years old. And they were staring down the barrel of 15 plus years. Now, they were in jail, crying, upset, mental breakdowns. People tried to kill themselves in jail. Every jail in the world. I'm not criticizing the Romanian jail. But
are you using it constantly? Isn't a UPS number for power? Yeah, but it still flows through it.
Experiences. I can sit and meditate and recreate experiences that most men couldn't even...
I'm sorry, I don't care about this. Fuck, my bad. I care more about my power supply. Assume that's true, that your PC has to draw 10% more power because the apartment is hotter. What's your issue? The back of the uninterruptible power supply has there's a small part that you can plug in that works as like an outlet too. So you plug stuff in here, but it can only handle so much wattage going through this part before the thing is overloaded. It starts to beep at me, right? I think that the limit on this UPS is 900 watts, and generally I draw like 880. But if the temperature is heating up the apartment and it has to draw more and more power, and it's more watts are passing through, as it passes that 900, it starts to beep at me, and that's why it's getting upset. What the fuck?